I used to think that infidelity was the highest cause of divorce in marriage. But in my study, interacting with people, counseling people, I discovered that infidelity is not the highest cause of divorce in marriage, but lack of commitment. Welcome to Candy Talk with Tolu. We are committed to making your marriage work. For any relationship, I mean any relationship, to work, you have to be committed and you have to be vulnerable. If you say you're not going to be committed or you're not going to be vulnerable, there is no way the relationship will work. That's why we have epileptic relationships, epileptic marriage. Now, before we go into what commitment is, we're going to discuss what commitment is not. There are certain relationships that look like commitment, but it's not commitment. Cohabitation. When you're cohabiting with someone, it doesn't guarantee commitment. Someone and not be committed to the person. Marriage. I've seen marriages where there is no commitment. So marriage relationship, you can be like, oh, we're married, so we are committed. No. They are very uncommitted married couples. What else looks, then you are in a relationship with somebody. The fact that you are in a relationship with somebody does not mean you are committed. So these relationships look like committed relationships, but if there is no commitment, there is no relationship. So we are now going to look at what commitment is. What is commitment? Commitment is constant action, positive action to make your marriage work. Constant positive actions to make your marriage work. That's just the truth. Constant positive actions you take to make your marriage work. Now, when I say constant positive actions, I mean if you know that it takes me kissing my wife on the forehead to make my marriage work, I'm going to do it. You will know the song, if that's what it takes. So whatever it takes to make the marriage work, whatever it takes to make the relationship work, that is commitment. And it's inevitable in any relationship. Any relationship. Friendship, any relationship. You cannot be committed. You cannot say you are in any form of relationship without commitment or without being vulnerable. If there is absolute commitment, total commitment in a relationship, there is no way that relationship will not work. Absolute commitment in a relationship guarantees success. It will work. So let's try to make our marriage work. You cannot say, okay, I want to be married to this person and not be committed. It's not going to work. It's going to lead to disaster. Commitment is the bedrock for any marriage to work. Now we're going to take, there are two types of commitment: total commitment and partial commitment. Partial commitment, when we say you are partially committed, you are taking actions to make your relationship or marriage work, but you are not taking consistent actions. You are not taking sacrificial actions. Partial commitment is, I'm doing what is convenient for me to make the marriage work. Like you give, your wife says she wants romance, and you tell her, I'm not the romantic type. I'm not the romantic type. I am an African man. As long as you provide, the marriage must work. No. There are certain things that makes marriage work. There are certain things that are fundamental needs of a woman. And for a man, you have to be conscious in providing those needs. Just the same way there are certain fundamental needs of a man. And as a woman, you have to be conscious in providing those needs. And consciousness is also with consistency. Because if you are conscious today about it today and you are not consistent about it, you are also not committed. That is also partial commitment. So marriage is work, but it is worth the work. It is worth the sacrifice. It is worth it. So you are partially committed when you say, I do what I can. I do what is convenient for me to make the marriage work. You are partially committed. You are not totally committed. And when you are partially committed, you are partially failing in marriage. In the long run, it will lead to disaster. Total commitment is totally meeting the needs of the marriage, which is the needs of your spouse. Total commitment is totally meeting the demands of the marriage, not only the demands of your spouse, in its entirety. Now, we're going to talk about situations where commitment may not work. There are certain aspects and circumstances which commitment may not work. And what are they? Number one, when your spouse is killing your vibes. This one is very common. When your spouse now starts killing your vibe, like you complain to your spouse that, okay, I want unkwobi. You are a man. You say, okay, I want this food. I want mac and cheese. And she's like, okay, mac and cheese. She's not going to make it. It's tiring. She has to work. She has to do this. All the excuses that are acceptable. Then one day she comes home and she makes mac and cheese. Instead of you to be appreciative, you start killing her vibe. Hey, which one is this one? Mac and cheese today. What happened? Who did you see? Is Jesus coming to the house? Did an angel come? You are killing the vibe. She's showing commitment that, okay, she's showing total commitment that I want this thing to work. And you as the spouse, what are you doing? You are totally killing the vibe. Or if your wife tells you a need for romance and she comes to you and she tries to hug you and she says, honey, I love you. And you're like, hey, okay, thank you. You're killing the vibe. So commitment will not work if your spouse is killing the vibe. And that's the truth. Because it takes two to make a marriage work. It takes two to tango. Another situation where commitment will not work is where your spouse is being unreasonable. Totally unreasonable. For example, this is a true life story. So there is this couple, Nigerians, they relocated to the UK. The man went before he started with his wife, born again Christian. I think the woman was even spiritual, more, than the husband. When they got to the UK, the woman owns a salon while the man has a job. The woman started mixing, in the salon. Nigerian women will come, they will tell her, oh, in the UK, if your husband does this, you kick him out, you call the police on him, you do this, you do that. Then they started telling her that there's oral sex. This is a woman that's never known about oral sex before. I don't think she has heard about it before. The husband too, they've never practiced it in their 9 years of marriage. So they started telling her, oh, they've not given you head, man, you are missing. So the woman now started demanding for oral sex. Now, this man is practically a pastor. He cannot do it. He just told her, I cannot. It's alien to who I am. Every other thing you ask me for on earth, I can do for you. But this particular thing, because it is, to him, it is not in his religion. He cannot do it because of his beliefs, that the woman should make compromise. So they came to my office and she said she was going to file for a divorce. I said, you are going to file for a divorce because your husband is not giving you head. Is that a reason for divorce? This is a man that stood by you, the man that brought you from Nigeria to London, a man that supports you, supports your extended family. I know what this man has done personally for her siblings. Then you want to file for a divorce because he's not giving you head. Giving head, oral sex, is not a reason for divorce. Let's not trivialize this marriage thing. Let's make marriage meaningful, what it was meant to be from the beginning, which is forever. So when your spouse is being unreasonable, your commitment may be fatal. It may not work. So these are instances when total commitment on your part may not work. When your spouse is unreasonable, it may not work. Another instance where a spouse is being unreasonable, I heard this a lot, where men abroad, because in Nigeria the laws are different. There's not so much protection for women. So when our women get abroad, they just become a wire. There's power in their hands. They can kick their husbands out. So this man has a job. He works 2 jobs. 2 jobs. He supports you, supports the family. You don't do anything. It's fine. Okay, you're at home. Then when he comes back from work, hungry and tired, you now expect this man to go into the kitchen and cook because you are not his slave. How about now? You're being unreasonable. You are being unreasonable. If one party is committed and the other party is being unreasonable, Commitment will not work. Now, to get your unreasonable partner to be reasonable is another thing for marriage to work. So your unreasonable partner is now, you want the person to be reasonable. There are ways you can go about it. Number one, communication. Now, communication has to be effective. Because if communication is not effective, it's going to scatter things. How do you communicate your frustration to your partner? That, okay, oh, Mrs. Gloria, I need you to be reasonable on this issue. Number one, you express yourself. You do not express your anger. You explain it. So instead of saying, you are a very unreasonable woman, you are a foolish man, you are very unreasonable, you say, my darling wife. Now, before you speak with anybody, there's a rule I say it's the sandwich rule, we all know it. Compliment what you want to say, then compliment. Because if you always come attacking me, criticizing me, I'll become, is natural, defensive. Everything you've said will fall to the ground. But when you come and you give a compliment and you say, okay, my darling wife, you are very beautiful. I appreciate the years you've spent with me by my side. It's not easy for anybody, but I need us to work this, not you. You're not criticizing her. Work this out. I have 2 jobs. By the time my boss in job A and my boss in job B are through with me, I'm exhausted. Can you please look for somebody or get me something to eat before I come? It's just a simple task. You are the best. Some people will still be unreasonable and say they cannot, then they are wicked. And they are not willing to make the marriage work, then they are not committed. So commitment will not work when one party is being committed and the other one is totally being uncommitted. And the second party is not committed. It won't work. It can't work. So what do we do for a marriage to work? Both parties have to be committed. Both parties have to be in sync. And if your partner is not committed this year or this week, that doesn't mean you go and file for divorce the next week. She's not committed. She's not putting in any effort. I'm the only one putting in effort. It takes time. Give it time to love, to nurture. Give it time. The moment you see that, oh, my partner is not committed, I'm filing for divorce. That's not how it works. Honestly, it can't work that way. At the slightest provocation, at the slightest mistake, people are filing for divorce. No, now, that is not marriage. That is not commitment. With this, we've come to the end of Candid Talk with Tolu. Thank you for your subscription. Thank you for all you do for us. Thank you for following. Thank you for the comments. I promise an interesting time in the next episode. We are going to talk about infidelity, what to do when your spouse is cheating, how to handle cheating, and if your husband is cheating, you will want to listen to this. And cheating is not a deal breaker for you. Because for some people, cheating is a deal breaker. For others, cheating is not a deal breaker. I'll also express my opinion if cheating should be a deal breaker or not. We're also going to be talking about healing from infidelity. I believe there can be healing from after infidelity. Both parties can heal after infidelity and make their marriage work again. Thank you so much. Thank you for all you do for us. Thank you for sharing, for liking. And until next time, I say bye. And we are committed to making your marriage work. Bye for now.